I'm so excited to have you a part of this podcast. You know, I've been waiting forever to talk to you and to get to know you. We have Natalie Gamble says, hi, everybody. Hi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I am very nervous.
You're nervous? Don't be nervous. Just give it a few seconds, and usually they say it's like 20 seconds or something like that, then you start feeling more comfortable. So I know you don't really get on live like that.
No, I think this is like my first like actual time. I think I did it once before, maybe like when I first got on Instagram, and I have not done it since.
Yeah. My first time live was on a podcast, like on Instagram like this. So I feel you. I was really nervous. I was like rambling and like talking fast and stuff. So I had to like relax myself, because when I get nervous, I do talk really fast and I'm like all over the place. So, but it's going to be fun. We're going to get through this. You have so many people that love you, that are inspired by you, and you're always sharing like everything. Like your content is so strategic in the way that you do things and like what you put out and all of that. And you really help a lot of people. Like you've helped me, even privately, you've helped me. Like whenever I need your help, or I message you, like, what do you think about this? Like, am I doing this? Am I, you know what I mean? Like you give me an honest answer, honest feedback. And like, yeah, so you should be so proud of yourself, of all that you've accomplished and what you do out here, because it's not easy at all. So even I know too. So, but yeah, Team Station Bakery, you got this. Somebody commented. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, the Grow My Life podcast is just a place where I like to just, it was a place for me to just like talk about whatever I wanted to talk about, my life outside of cake decorating, and kind of how that all started and how I feel about my life, my marriage, and like motherhood. I know that you're a mother and a wife as well. And you're doing all, you know, content and all that stuff, and a place to kind of just talk about it all or whatever I want. And then to a place to actually get to know people and interview people and that are actually doing something with themselves, and like how you are, like you're inspiring, you're encouraging, you're putting stuff out there that's informative, and that is important, especially in the baking industry. So it's really cool to be able to do this. But yeah, so let's introduce yourself. Like, what's your nationality? Like, where are you from? What do you do for a living? All of that.
Okay, well, I am from Houston.
Yeah.
I am Black.
Yeah. Black and beautiful.
And you said, what was the other question?
Like, what do you do for a living?
Oh, what do I do for a living? I am a stay-at-home mom. I do run, the Station Bakery, which was a home bakery business, transitioned into, online content. And yeah, that's basically what I do.
Cool. So what was the moment that like changed you? So how long have you been a stay-at-home mom, and how did that transpire into like your baking and kind of all of this that you've like your platform and everything has grown so much? So how did all that transpire?
So I have been a stay-at-home mom for 4.5 years now. When I got pregnant with my daughters, I had twins.
Oh, you have twins. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so when I got pregnant with them and I was working, I was a teacher before. And, I just decided, well, me and my husband, we decided that I wanted to, stay home with them and spend as much time as I could with them, to teach them and to raise them in a way that I wanted, them to grow up. Mm-hmm. And during that time, I had I am not used to not doing anything, right? So during that time, I was like, man, like I need something to do. And surprisingly enough, like I don't really eat cakes or sweets or anything. And yeah, so I was like, but I was craving sweets, and I was like, I need something. And the thing that I wanted were funnel cakes.
Ooh, I love funnel cakes.
Yeah, so that was originally what I was supposed to do, funnel cakes. But then I tried it, and like I couldn't get like a good recipe. And so I was like, yeah, let's just switch and let's just do cakes. because I was watching Food Network and everything. It's like, okay, let's see how this goes. And I just kind of, started from there, and I enjoyed it. I love being a creative person. And I just started from there, and kept going. And here I am.
Wow. Wow. That is, what did you teach when you were a teacher?
I taught middle school English.
Oh, okay. So that really helps with your content because it's all like writing, like typing and stuff like that. So that really helps to
Yeah,
communicate in your blogging.
I realized because my major in college was journalism and mass communications,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't go directly into anything with journalism and mass communications right out of college. But as I'm like thinking about it, it's like I'm actually kind of doing a form of that,
Wow.
through social media. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of full circle and just all coming back around to who I am naturally at my core.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So you never like wasted anything. You're like using all of your skills still, and then you're teaching. You're using that as well in what you do and how you talk to people and how you like, you know what I mean? Just how you answer questions and problem solve and all of that stuff. Because when you're a teacher, you got to be on it, you know?
Most definitely.
So
Yes.
wow, that's really cool. And that's how I started too, was I became an army wife and I used to work, 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 and I became an army wife and I stayed home. And I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? You know, there's only so much that you could do. Like you want to be home, but you really can't do. There's only certain things you can do while you're home. So baking and all of that is just the easiest thing. And it's fun. There's always something new to learn. Always something new.
Always.
And people are just drawn to baking and drawn to cake decorating and all of that. Like even watching it on social media, like people just get like, ooh, like, you know. So it's wow, that is really, really cool. So then what was the first idea? Like, okay, you're doing this, and then how like did you come up with like your first idea that you wanted to share with the world, whether it was something that was paid or not paid, or but it's one thing to make content, but it's another to just make content and show what you do. And it's another thing to actually show something, like show a product or show actually what you're doing, what you're teaching. So how did you come up with your first idea? What was that?
So I actually didn't get into making content until like a year after I started my
Okay.
home bakery. I wasn't really into like social media or anything like that. And so, what really pushed me to start making content was the fact that there were questions that I had that I couldn't find anywhere else. No one was like sharing, certain information and everything. And so, even though I was only like a year in, I was like, in this year, I've learned however much I've learned. And there's somebody who's going to be at the starting point where
Yes.
I was, that even with just my 1 year of experience and knowledge can help them, So just kind of started there. And it's like, I want to be that person for the next baker who comes along, who are going to have those same questions, who are going to be looking up, going to YouTube, because we're supposed to be able to learn everything on YouTube, right? And it's
I
like,
did, yeah.
I want to be that person that's there for them, to help them with whatever amount of knowledge that I may have. I don't have years of experience. I didn't go to culinary school. I didn't do all of this stuff, but I have my own personal, unique experience that I can share with others to help them.
Right. Okay. I 100% get that. I feel that way too when I was starting to show myself, because I was kind of scared to even show myself, because I was like, well, people are gonna be like, girl, you don't know what you're doing. You're gonna like, you know what I mean, like nitpick about what I'm doing. But that wasn't the case at all. You know what I mean? Like there's so many beginners out there, so many people that don't know about things. And I talk more about like the process and stuff like that of cake decorating and less on like the ending result, you know. And I don't like talking about baking either. But like that process of building a cake and, you know, preparing and all of that, I love talking about that stuff. So that's like my little piece in the niche, you know. But yeah, that is really cool that you were like, you know what, I want to be that person that people go to. I have a year experience, and we think that everything is common knowledge, but it's not.
Nope.
And I've learned that all you have to have, is a 10% edge. Like all you have to know is 10% more than the average person, and you're good to go. So anybody out there that feels like they don't know nothing, all you gotta know is 10%. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is awesome.
And even just outside of just like the knowledge, like you don't have to be the best pastry chef. You don't have to be the best business person, but your experience is special, right?
Ooh, yes,
And
yes.
that is like, and I feel like that's kind of the thing. Like, I don't think of like myself as like, I know this information. I think of myself, this is my experience. I can share it with you. Take what you need, and leave the rest behind, however it flows, like that. So even more so than just knowledge, your experience is valuable.
And even in the very last post that you posted, where you talk about your magic and it's about you and your experience. So if you haven't seen Kourt's last post on the Station Bakery and you're feeling uninspired or unmotivated or feel like everybody's better than you, look at her last post. Follow her, first of all. Look at her last post, and that will inspire you because it's the truth. It really hits it on the head with that, And I'm like, oh gosh, yes. Like I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, Yeah, experience teaches wisdom. Someone just said, yeah, I love that. Shantina's Cakery said that. Yeah, I like that. So, all right. So you talked about your journey, and what is something so talk about like your 4-year journey, your first year. But what was one thing that you learned throughout your years, the last 4 years? Like the biggest thing you learned?
I guess the biggest thing that I've learned is that there's always something to learn.
Yeah, there is.
There's always something to learn. And, you have to be kind of fearless. I feel like sometimes we can get in our own way of thinking like, oh, I'll be perceived as this or I'll be perceived as that. And sometimes you will, right?
You will, yeah.
Sometimes you will. But in the grand scheme of things, a lot of that fear comes from our own thinking and from our own selves. And then once you get out there, you start to see that it's not really as scary as we may think it is, And I think that that's one of the things that really helps me is like, I feel like I talk about a lot of things that could like, make other people and they're like, I could never, but it's just about
I went through that. Yeah.
Yeah, like just having like that fearless mentality, like, I'll put it out here. If people don't respond to it well, I can learn and adjust from there, right? And we'll keep trying. If it doesn't hit the right way, then I can adjust from here and keep going.
Yes, I like that's a huge point because you have to be fearless because people are gonna say, well, who does she think she is? Like, like that's the one thing people say, and you say stuff and you do things. But I love that people have that reaction, right? Because they're having that reaction because they're feeling it within themselves. Like, dang, how does she able to say that? How is she able to say that? And I can't, you know what I mean? So yeah, I totally feel that. So during your process, what is something that you did that was non-negotiable? Like you were like, I'm doing it this way. This is what I'm doing. I don't care. Like,
I don't know. I think just everything that I do is like from that place. Like, I don't know. Well, I'll say one thing that I'm trying to like work really hard on implementing, which is one of the reasons why I asked you for the time slot that I asked for is having like a set business time. Social media is like literally all day and it can run through my head all day, ideas all day, trying to create all day, doing this, doing that. And so really like trying to set a schedule for myself. I work in between this time and this time and like that's it. So if I'm doing like calls with people or anything, I try to keep it within that time frame. And mainly because that's the time that like my girls, we send them to school now. And so that's the time that they're out at school. And so it's like when they get home, I want to be able to be mommy. I want to be able to be here at home and like fully like focused and zoned in on them during that time. And while it's like, it's not perfect, of course.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But that's something that like I'm really striving and like pushing for.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because like for me, like I feel you, like social media is all day long, whatever. You try to make it a time so it's so that everybody can get on and watch and stuff, but people can watch the replay and whatever. And you and another woman that I'm going to be interviewing in a couple weeks asked for like an earlier time, and you both have kids and stuff, have families and everything. And I have a family, and I have a, you know, they're watching The Flash in the other room right now. You know, but I'm kind of able to be flexible and stuff, but I need to do that for myself as well, and have those set times that I do stuff, and not do it at like 7 o'clock at night. You know, when after dinner I have to hurry up and eat dinner, and then hurry up and get myself together, and like to be focused on here, you know. So it's nice to do it at an earlier time. It's more refreshing. Do it at an earlier time. I don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. Yes. So I think I'm gonna give that option, I guess. Maybe schedule it earlier if people can, and I think people would appreciate that too, because most of the people that I am interviewing, like they have a serious business, you know, and they're actually doing this, like, so I'm kind of just like doing my own thing here and just figuring out as I go, you know. But yeah, I think I'm going to implement that for myself as well. So thank you for saying that, and even asking me like, hey, like, can we do it earlier, like you know. So yeah, that's great. All right. So what does life look like for you now? So you're in this business, you're doing all this, you've grown so much in the last 4 years. You know, you have a ton of followers, you have your YouTube channel. I don't know what other things you have, TikTok and all that, like Facebook and everything else. I know I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel as well, and your Instagram, of course. But so what does life look like for you now with your business and your content?
Crazy. That's how I feel like it looks. Crazy.
I get that.
I feel like I've come to a place where like I understand my business a bit more. I understand where I'm trying to go and how I can get there, right? So I feel like even like it's in a chaotic period, because some things are going to have to shift, and I'm going to have to learn, you know, new skills and new habits for myself. But right now I'm in a season of really trying to implement the things that are going to get me to my ultimate goal that I have with doing everything that I'm doing. So
what's your ultimate goal, if you want to share?
My husband's probably going to laugh at me for saying this. But I mean, I'm just going to be real. You know, my ultimate goal in creating any kind of business really is to my ultimate goal is to have things set in place to where I am able to make money without having to do anything.
That's my goal too. Yes. Yeah.
And that's just what it is, you know, to be able to do the things that I love with as little effort as possible, because I don't want to work like my whole life away, you know. And especially with the time that we're in right now, we're in such a special time where like there's so many opportunities, there's so many ways that we can support ourselves and like live without having to give up all of our time all day, every day, you know. So yeah, that's my ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's my ultimate goal as well. And that's like, for me, you know, I've talked about how I don't like to sell cakes, and I feel like selling cakes just keeps me at this ceiling, like, you know, just in the kitchen over and over and over again all day long, doing this, doing that for the, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't like doing this. I don't want this to be my forever thing. And so what can I do now? Well, this was 2.5 years ago. What can I do at that time so that way I can start changing this pattern and start elevating myself, right? Because I know it's going to take a while. You know, it does take a while to do that. So, but you did it like really fast. Like you figured it out, I feel like, quickly. But even though you're still not exactly where you want to be, but you have built a lot for yourself, you know. And I'm sure you do a lot of it on your own, by, you know what I mean, all your ideas and just you just everything on your own. Like I do too, you know, I come up with everything, I do the content, I do, you know, everything by myself. So, which I love doing because I like to know what I'm doing and how I like it. I have to have a feel for stuff before I'm actually going to be doing it for real. You know what I mean? Get that feeling for it. Do I like it? How do I change it? And then boom, you know, and then on to the next thing, you know. So that's why it takes me forever, because I just sit on things, you know. But yeah, like I get that, and I'm sure a lot of us on here, a lot of us bakers on here and stuff, which I see a lot of bakers and even non-bakers, you know, from other industries feel that way too. Like, how can I do this without doing this forever? Like, how can I maximize my time? How can I build my stuff and all that stuff, you know? And like someone said, the content is the hardest part. It is, because I can tell that you plan your content. You don't post every single day.
No,
you actually post what you're going to post, and it's strategic, what you're going to do and what you're going to talk about on your post. So I peep that about you. So whenever I don't see you for a while, I'm like, oh, she's creating her content.
That's funny.
You know, like you take your breaks, and you have like a huge huge following that you're able to do that. You know what I mean? You can just pick and choose what you want to post, and you know that it's going to get engagement, and you know that people are going to like it, and it's going to be worth your time and effort, instead of just posting every day, just whatever, you know. So I try to do that now too with myself. I've been trying to do that and actually post. I post a lot more on Facebook because I'm getting more engagement and things on there and followers on there. And I noticed that, and not as much on Instagram. So and I post here and there, you know, on there still. And I like to keep up with you and other people on Instagram. But on Facebook is where it's like popping for me right now. But yeah, so what does like your routine look like for you, and like you're like balancing? Well, first let's talk about your routine, your morning, night routine, the process you have to go through to kind of get through the day and all of that, all the fun stuff of that, right?
There is no routine. I mean, I wake up, you know, I wake up every day. I go to sleep at night, you know, I do it all again, and whatever happens in the in-between time, you know.
That's realistic. That's realistic.
No, I again, this is one of the things that I'm trying to like really work on, is being more consistent in a routine, because then you're just able to function and work better when you have that, right? You know that I have only this set amount of time to get the things done that need to be done today. And if I don't get it done today, then, you know, then it's just going to have to be pushed on to the next day, or it's just not going to happen, right? And so it kind of keeps you focused in that time frame to get everything that you need. But also with like sending my girls to school, that kind of keeps me on a routine, right? Because I know I have to wake up every morning at a certain time, get them off to school, then come back. I have my time. I got to go pick them up. So all of those checkpoints during the day kind of help me to stay on.
Oh, checkpoints. Oh, yeah, I like that. Checkpoints during the day.
Yes, and but just like a actual like full routine, I don't really have one. I think like I've learned my content in such a way that where it makes sense in my head, but it wouldn't really necessarily make sense to someone outside of my head, right? And I just created systems to make the process easier for me. I'm not creating stuff every day. I'm not doing that, right? I'm taking what I have and I'm repurposing it. I'm using it in various ways, so I don't have to take all that time. Because being a food creator is much different than other industries, because we have to take the time to plan out what we're going to make. We have to actually make it and bake it, then clean up after it. And it's just a whole long process that other people don't necessarily have to go to. So I have to try to find ways to make that easier for me. And yeah, sorry. But no, I don't have a routine.
No, yeah. No, that's good, because I feel the same way. I repurpose my content. I've been repurposing a lot of my content, because when I first decided that I was going to make content, I was in the kitchen all the time, recording, and then setting up, recording, making sure of everything. And I like to have everything clean, nice, you know what I mean? So you're watching me and what I'm doing. I'm not up there being cute, You know what I mean? You're going to watch what I'm doing, the actual cake and what I'm actually trying to teach you and show you, you know what I mean? So, and then recording and then having to edit all that stuff and then figuring out, well, what am I going to do with all this content? What do I actually want to show people? What do I want to talk about? What do I want to do that? You know what I mean? So it's like going through that process of that. And then as you keep going, you kind of figure out, okay, I have all this content. I've grown a little more. Now I can go back to the old content and use like, oh, dang, I have that already. I have that already. Like, you know what I mean? So it kind of feels good. And it's an accomplishment too, because you're at a point where you understand what you're doing and how you said, right? Nobody will understand, but you understand, you know? So you're at that point and you're able to repurpose it and use it for different things. And so it just makes things a lot easier. I haven't made a cake in a minute. I ain't been in my kitchen to make nothing in a minute. But I'm showing up and I'm posting what I'm posting because I tried to make quality. When I was in my kitchen, I try to do quality stuff. Make sure it's looking clear and good and clean, a clean space, you know, and all of that stuff. And that was what was important to me first, was when I made the content, to make sure that it was looking like, because I had a quality look to it. And then so that way I can use it forever and ever and ever. And people think that it's brand new, that I just did it yesterday. No. That was back in April or last year or 2 years ago, you know. So, and I noticed that you repurpose yours too. JB Sweet Tooth wanted to ask, can I ask, at what point did you realize your following growing, and what were you doing when it got there? As in, what content were you pushing out when it did start growing? Do you understand?
Can you say it again?
She wanted to ask, at what point did you realize your following growing? So when did you realize that your following was growing? And what were you doing when it got there? So like, what type of content were you showing when your following was growing? What blew it up, basically, I guess?
Okay. I actually have a video on YouTube. You can go back and watch it. And like, I'm talking about, you know, how frustrated I was with Instagram and everything. And like how I was just like going to take a step back and, you know, not really focus on it too much. And but I also say in that video that, you know, you can get really down on yourself because it's like, oh man, like I'm not growing like other people, or like, why isn't my content like getting all of these views and whatever metrics that you're looking at, why isn't your content doing whatever it is that you want it to do? But I have to stop and take a look like, well, what is the purpose of my content? Right? So when I started creating the content with a purpose, and even when I was creating with the purpose, it was still like, man, like nobody's really watching this thing. It's not really resonating with them. But then I had to go back in and it's like, well, what was the purpose of the content? And that's when I started checking my analytics. And although the views and things weren't like these super high views, it's like my ratio for like saves and shares were higher, you know, than normal. So it's like, okay, people are finding value in this, right? I'm just looking at the vanity metric of how many people are looking at this, right? But there are other means of measurement that tell you like what your content is doing, right? And then two, you got to think about, what did you ask people to do? I told people, you know, in it to save this for later. Yeah. Looking at the likes, right? No, we need to look at the saves to see, are people saving it? Are they finding this valuable enough to save? So I just kind of shifted my mindset around that to get really specific with my content and my purpose. I wanted to create content that informed and help people in quick snippets, right? And when I started doing that, that's when things started kind of taking off a little bit. And then I freed myself up too from the pressures of trying to make something go viral, trying to make something do this big, amazing thing. I freed myself from that and just started posting freely, right? If I was this person, what is it that I would be looking for and wanting to know? And then I create and share that content. And then like pushing the boundaries. That's one of the things that I think has really helped. Pushing the boundaries, talking about things that most people aren't comfortable talking about, like pricing and, you know, actually sharing my numbers and the behind the scenes of stuff, you know?
Which I love that. Ooh, I love that so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And so those are the things, you know, that just kind of, you know.
Yeah, and you have a few videos that have gone viral, because I went back the other day and like looked. I thought it was just like one or something, but it was more than that. I was like, oh, so she got all these. I was like, I counted like 5 or 6. You know what I mean? That of your reels that have gone viral. So, like, the plastic cup, a cupcake, like those plastic cups. I was like, oh dang, like people just want to know about the packaging and what's easiest for them. You know what I mean? She said, thank you so much, JB Sweet Tooth, the one that had the question.
Oh, you're welcome.
But like that, because right there, you know, you're really helping people figure out the easiest way to do things when it comes to packaging and all that stuff. And everybody loves a good packaging, you know.
Yes, definitely.
And just like buttercream, you sharing buttercream. People love watching buttercream reels. So if you're like, do a buttercream reel if you're out there, you're trying to find something. You know, people love that. There's always a million questions about buttercream. And I know you just dropped a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks, I don't know how long ago, your own line of buttercreams.
Yes.
Dream cream.
Dream, yes.
Which is really cool because you're just, you kind of used what, like the Swiss meringue and all this, and like it's eggless, it's, you know, this and that, like it to make it better for the customers and more, I guess, in a natural way, I guess. I don't know. I haven't purchased it yet, but it was a really, really good idea, and the way that you put it out there, and it looks like Swiss meringue, and it looks like, you know what I mean? It looks like that silky smooth, you know, buttercream that everybody wants, you know, for their cakes. You know, it looks good, it tastes good, it's not too sweet, it's, you know, all of that. So, which is really cool. So check out her dream cream recipes. I'm sure they're linked in your bio.
Yeah.
Check that out. She has a few different flavors that you can try. But and then also the pricing. So when you started breaking down the pricing of the cakes and just being like bold with it, I was like, oh my gosh, like nobody does that. Like nobody talks about that at all. And you came on here and you talked about it, and I was looking through the comments and stuff, and people really were feeling it. Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of bakers and stuff who understand pricing, you know, and a lot of followers that you may have are bakers. Yeah. And then there's a couple people probably that are just like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like no one's going to pay that for a cake and stuff. But, and I'm going through this in my own on Facebook about how I don't want to be the cheap cake lady, which blew up for me on my Facebook account. And, you know, people just on there just trying to tell you how you need to price your stuff and all this, and that you're not even in the baking industry or know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but it's really nice that you did that, because you really broke things down and the cost of everything. And it's really, really important to talk about, because, you know, customers, they don't know, and they get mad because they don't know, but then you're charging more money for cakes than, you know, than 2 years ago, you know. And it's good to be transparent and letting people know, well, this is what it is. This is my profit. This is my time. This is the materials, supplies, ingredients, you know, and all depends on what cake it is. Every cake is different, and it's custom. This is not just basic vanilla cupcakes. That's it. You know, with some rainbow sprinkles. This ain't that. We ain't talking about that, and we're not talking about store-bought either. You know, which is a whole nother conversation. You know. But yeah, pricing is tough, and nobody talks about it. Arty Cakes by Tammy just said that. And I struggle too, and I'm sure you have. Do you want to talk a little bit about your own struggles with it?
Yeah. So I think like a good amount of us, when we start off, we have no idea about how to price something. We are coming off, unless you grew up going to bakeries or buying custom cakes, you don't really have an idea of how much a cake is supposed to cost. The only reference that we do have are from grocery stores, right? Which is why, like, I kind of have like grace for people who are like, oh, but you can go to the store and get this, 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 and this. It's like, yeah, I get that. I understand it, because I used to have that same mindset too when I was a custom cake maker, but still trying to charge the prices of the grocery stores, right? Because in my mind, and like one thing that I like to say is like, we can't price from a viewpoint of how much we would pay ourselves, because we're not our target client, right? How much we would pay. Yeah, how much we would pay for something is not what someone else is going to pay. One, because we have the skills to do it ourselves. So that's already going to make the number that we choose more difficult, right? Versus someone who doesn't have the time, doesn't have the skill, and they're willing to pay for that convenience and those things. So when I first started off, I think my first cake was like an 8-inch cake with like marble. It was like a marbled cake. And I charged like $30 for it. And
Yeah.
the price that I paid to make it was more than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep, you
but
go in your own pocket. Mm-hmm.
and I literally, it's so crazy. I literally would go back and forth in my mind, like, oh man, like there's no way that they're gonna pay $30 for this cake. Like, absolutely no way. That's just insane. Who would ever
Mm-hmm.
pay that much for a cake? It's like, okay, well, let me lower it down. Maybe I'll do this much. But then like maybe I won't make any money. Okay, well, let me try this, you know? And then like they pay, and now I'm mad because they paid, and I
Mm-hmm.
realize how much work I have to do,
Yep.
you
Woo.
know? And so it's like, yeah, it's a learning process, and just give yourself grace. You're gonna learn, you're gonna grow. And again, when a lot of us started, there wasn't this information out there.
No,
Like
yeah.
there wasn't that information. So, or you didn't know how to find the information. And so
Mm-hmm.
you just do your best, right? But then once you learn, then you're able to grow and go from there. Like even now I find that there are a lot of bakers, and I need to find a better way to communicate this, because I feel like it's kind of getting lost in the sauce a little bit. But a lot
Yeah.
of bakers, we charge for the price of ingredients, we charge for our time. But a big major factor that a lot of people are missing is profit for their business, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need that money to go back into our business, to keep in our business, to be able to invest in our business. So when we're buying things, you shouldn't be paying that out of pocket, right? And
Right.
I feel like you have a very different mindset when your business has money and you're spending the business's money and not your money, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I
Or
feel like a lot
waiting
of,
for that deposit to buy to get
yes,
it to get the stuff, you know. Yeah.
yes, when you can just, you know, and you just handle money differently when you can look at it for as a business investment, because it's coming from that business pot of money versus something that's going to take away from your kids' Christmas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like because it's coming out of your pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having that separation of funds is really important, and I feel like a lot of bakers kind of miss out on that. I just have to find a better way to express that so like it clicks for people, because people
Mm-hmm.
still think that profit is what you pay yourself, right? And it's
Yeah,
not.
that profit is time, or you're put. Yeah, and it's not. It's two different things, and that's hard because a lot of people, a lot of us, a lot of bakers don't even charge what they're supposed to charge. A lot of beginners and even non-beginners, I mean advanced people,
Mhm.
because I still didn't charge what I was supposed to charge for a minute, you know, out of fear of, you know, they're not going to buy from me. I want them to like me. I want them to come to me. I want them, you know, I want to do something nice. You know, we like put our nice hat
Mhm.
on for some reason when we're dealing with our businesses and stuff, and not putting our businesswoman hat and being like, this is what it is. This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference. You cannot be nice. You have to say what it is, and that's what the customers need. They need that, like that not balance, but that fluidity across the board. When it comes to custom cakes, you know, one lady's doing this, one man's doing this, one, you know what I mean? So it makes it confusing for people. Then they're just going to go to
Mhm.
the cheapest one, you know,
Mhm.
and really like the cheapest one isn't always the best way to go, or maybe they're lowballing themselves, you
Mhm.
know. I had a lady say that she always wondered why, you know, because people know, some people do know the cost of things, and they wonder why their cake lady is charging so low, but they never
Mhm.
ask. And I asked this lady, I said, she thought, she wondered the same thing with her cake lady, and I asked her, that would be a really good case study, and ask her why she's charging that low and see what she says, because I guarantee she's going to say, well,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
trying to be
Yeah.
nice, trying to
Yeah.
be nice and trying to gain customers, keep customers, but she's not making any money and she's hurting her body. I'm like, my back would hurt so bad from doing a cake. You know what I mean? I'd have to lay down just to like get myself back together. And then I still have to get up and wash the dishes and clean the kitchen so I can transition back to regular life, you know?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So that's a big thing, and I hope that we all can like figure that out and know that there's a difference and stop ruining ourselves and breaking ourselves down over these cake orders for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, make some money. Let's all try to make some money and do things how we're supposed to do them, you know? I encourage all of us, because I'm still working on myself as well.
Yes. And just having that confidence in your pricing, when you know your numbers, you can understand things a bit more and understanding your audience and who you are pricing for. And because there are a lot of bakers and they tell me that my prices are still low, right? But I know that my numbers actually make sense for what I'm trying to do, right? Like it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense for you. Yeah.
And so like, we don't have to think that everything has to be like this super outrageous highest price. Like we have to outbid each other in having the highest price cake. No, know your numbers and just know that they make sense for you and have that confidence in running your business. And if you do end up finding out that you need to go up some more, then you go up some more. You know, you adjust and shift as your business adjusts and shifts.
Exactly. And that's okay. It's okay if you up your price and someone says, no thanks. You know what I mean? And then you just move on from there. Like, I'm not for them anymore, you know? And that's fine. You don't want to be for everyone either. Yeah. So, wow, that was deep. Let's see what some people are saying here. I guess I should have told y'all to put your questions in the answer box, but in the question box. So somebody wants to know how much profit we should take. I also wondered, is that before our time is added or after? Let's just say, how much profit do you think? Because if you're adding everything up, it doesn't matter what the time is. I mean, if you're charging your time what it should be, then your profit would be like a percentage, right?
Yes. So I have a pricing course, and so that's like, I'm a little bit apprehensive of sharing certain information just for the sake of those people who like pay for this information, you know. But yes, I would say a percentage. And then she asked if you do that before or after your time. Calculate out all of your ingredients, your time, and all of that stuff, and then add on your profit.
Yeah. So I just tell people, make sure, the first thing you want to make sure is, you know, like how much your ingredients are. How much does it cost you to make this vanilla cake? You know, how much does it cost you to make a batch of your buttercream? You know, you want to break those prices down. How much is a cup of flour? How much is a teaspoon of vanilla? Because you'd be surprised how much a teaspoon of vanilla is. You know, you're adding 2 or 3 to 1 to your cake. You're adding 2 or 3 to your buttercream, you know. So that's really the first thing, is knowing exactly what your price of ingredients are, and then you adding those materials and supplies, you know, which one cake drum is however much, one cake board is however much, you know, then the decorations and, you know, and all of that. And if you're doing fondant, how long does it take you to do all those things? You know, you're coloring different things and stuff. So to me, that's first important, is know that part. You know, because some people don't, like you said, like you just throw out a number, $30, when it's actually going to cost $40 to offer, like, just for your ingredients, you know, and supplies and stuff. So then you go ahead and tackle on however you want to charge your time and your profit and all of that. But like you said, you really break all that down, and I think you are the perfect person and the only person that I would recommend to join your course over anybody. Because there's a lot of pricing courses out there, you know what I mean? But they don't show the breakdown of pricing. You know what I'm saying? But you did that first. You showed people what you can do and how it's done. And then you were like, all right, I see that there's a need for this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this course together for people and all of that. So, which we can talk more about that at the end. You can talk about everything that you have going on, so people can purchase your course and really, really learn from you, because this is so important, is knowing the pricing, and you are a trusted person to go to, I think. So yeah.
Thank you.
But all right, so we talked about that. So like, how do you balance like your family and your marriage and your cake decorating? I guess we kind of touched that a little bit, but you are married. And I know for me in the beginning, like, I wasn't making dinner for my husband when he came home from work. Like, I was like in the kitchen, like we would like argue, like, because I didn't know what I was doing, you know? So how do you balance that, like, with your content and your Because you still make cakes, you still sell cakes to people, and like, how do you do all of that? You don't anymore? Or you do? You don't? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't shared this information yet. There's a lot of things that have gone on,
Okay.
you know,
All
that
right.
I haven't shared yet. But yeah, exclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I
You
am
heard it here
not.
first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I am not selling anymore. I am
Good.
focusing more on the online portion of things. But yeah, so that has freed me up so much, of course. And that's like one of the things that like I found out that I didn't like, being tied down to a date, being tied down to a time, which is kind of hard for me to like schedule with you, because it's like,
I feel you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of
I
like a
get that.
thing where it's like when you're like, okay, well, what about Thursday? And I'm like, yes, Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I can do that right now, right? I can see
Mm-hmm.
that right now. But yeah, so with family, again, just trying to work within the time frame that I give myself so I can be present for my girls. I am thankful that we are fortunate enough that my husband is now at home as well. So it's like we
Woo!
get, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we get all the time, you know, that we need and
Good.
want together. And, you know, not having orders on the weekends, like that really helps, you know, for us to
Mm-hmm.
be able to, you know, just do whatever it is that we want to do and not be tied down to the kitchen and getting out cake orders and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, um, yeah, and I've mentioned this in one of my videos. Like, I am all for convenience and things, and I'm trying to shift my way back in. Sorry, that was
Okay.
my
You're
alarm. I
good.
have to go pick up my girl soon.
Okay. We're almost done. We're almost done.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
just yeah.
yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
congratulations on making that shift, because like how I was saying earlier, I was done. I didn't want to focus on selling cakes no more. I wanted to do something else with my time and my energy while I'm still young and vibrant, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that. And you can just get in the kitchen whenever you want and make something really cool and share it and whatever. And I'm sure maybe once in a while, if somebody wants a cake, you know, you make it worth their while, you know, and vice
Of course.
versa. So it's a win-win for both of you.
Of course.
And you have that option. But to be able to be home with your man and do what you want to do with your family and have that freed up time after for so long of really like hustling, you know?
Yes.
So congratulations to you both on that. So then we'll just go ahead and start kind of like ending the live. So what are you working on now, and what is your current offer, if you have one, which you do?
Yes. So what I'm working on, there are a few things that I'm trying to get out, because again, like I feel like I have all of this experience and all this information, and I'm just trying to figure like, how do I get this out there for other people to be able to take advantage of it, you know? So there are some things that are in the works that I'm trying to figure out, but right now what's available are the buttercreams. Like you said, they're eggless, but they still give you like kind of that Swiss and Italian kind of feel, right? But there's no form of eggs, no egg whites, no raw eggs, no meringue powder, nothing like that. It's really light and like really fluffy, but yet super stable at the
Yeah.
same time. It's like,
Which
it's
is
amazing.
important. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
amazing. It's dreamy.
Yes.
So I have that. Yeah, in 5 flavors: vanilla, chocolate, cookies and cream, strawberry, and cookie butter.
Oh,
Those are like my most popular flavors. So I was like, well, let me just
oh,
share those,
cool. Yeah.
you know. But what's really cool about it is that I update it often. You know, if you have questions, you have direct access to me to answer those questions. Plus, the community of other bakers who have already purchased, you have access to them and their experiences with it, as well as their questions. And so it's like, it's kind of like building up like a whole community around, you know, buttercream.
Around buttercream, yeah. Like it is a popular subject. I will say, someone said, is it stable for tiered cakes as well? Which I'm assuming it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. And then your pricing course, right?
Yes,
Want to
and
talk
the
about that?
pricing course. Yes, the pricing course is there as well, with which again you have direct access to me to ask any questions. And I think I saw a comment go by of someone asking about like systems. I share the
Yes.
exact system that I use, and I show you exactly how to use it from start to finish. I give you the whole process. We talk about the
Ooh.
mindset behind pricing, and I give you like an actual case study to like price out together. And trying to think what else is in there. And it's another one of those things where it's like, if you have questions and like I'm updating it constantly, right?
Okay.
So it's not just
That's
like I'm
good.
gonna drop it on you and then you're on your own kind of
Right.
situation. So yeah.
Really, really cool. Yeah, and that's gonna be all in her bio, link in her bio,
Yes.
where you can find that, and it's affordable too as well. So, and it's that, you know, that little piece of investment that's gonna really help you, because a lot of people are lost in this, like you said, you know, lost in figuring out pricing and all that. So, and like you said, that they get your time, and if they can ask you anything, and then you're open to say everything. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Definitely check that out for real. And all right, so if there's any type of cake, well, you say you don't really like cake like that. So I was gonna ask you, if you could have any cake, what would you order? What would you get? But if maybe something else, like a drink or something.
Well, if I were going to get a cake, I would want something that isn't your typical flavors. So I have tried to like purchase things from bakers like multiple times, but like you can see it in my content, I'm a little bit extra. So I want like some crazy flavor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's like interesting, I'll try,
Okay.
I'll eat, you
Okay.
know? So
You're open to try new things, so that's good.
yes.
Not just like vanilla, like.
Yeah, no, no.
And let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at the Station Bakery, on YouTube at the Station Bakery, TikTok. I'm on Pinterest. I am on Facebook, and I have the website. All of it is the Station Bakery across the board. So
Okay.
just put in the Station Bakery, and I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll be there. Yeah. And what question should I have asked you?
I don't know.
Or any advice you want to give, or just a little nugget?
I guess just be you, do what you love, and be
Mm-hmm.
fearless. You know, just go for it. That's the only way that you can learn and, you know, explore and find things out is just by trying. So
Yes, definitely. Well, I thank you so much for joining me and being such a light and inspiration to everyone, and to me especially, but to everyone. And I'm going to put this interview on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, my YouTube channel, Growing My Light. So subscribe to that. Everything's in my bio. And also, I'm a cake artist as well at Heaven My Cake, HEAVEN, Heaven My Cake, which is in the bio as well. So you can follow me too. And yes, I really appreciate you for coming on here. And I'm like one of the first people to interview you, which is super cool. To have you on here. Oh, but I think we probably lost her. But yes, thank you so much. Let's see if she comes back on. Try to give her a second. So yeah, and then you can also follow me on, like I said, Pinterest and YouTube, and I have a Facebook page as well, at Heaven My Cake. And so yeah, yep, she's gone. So I'm sure she appreciates all the love and questions. If you want to find her and ask her any more questions about her courses or anything, you can go ahead and message her at the Station Bakery.